got to cannot let this go. Carrying on from the last episode and the one before that with the airbags and the tray setup, and then the basically brakes, tyres, suspension. I'll now give you guys the real nitty gritty, which I'm sure you've been waiting for, and we'll go through engine, gearbox, diff, and intercooler, coolers, radiators, whatever. Basically everything you can poke a stick at. I'll explain what I've done, why I've done it, if there is a reason, and show you guys what I do. So let's take a look. Alright, so the part I know a lot of you guys have been waiting for, I will try and explain and pick out everything. There's a lot of stuff going on. I've been developing this car I've owned it since basically '09. So I've been developing it for a fair few years. I've got to a stage where I'm pretty happy. The only thing I'm not happy with is the exhaust manifolds, which are still the crappy ones that I bought back when I first did this. They've just been modified so many times. And then this crappy thin wall tube. But well, the extractor part is that I've kind of welded steam pipe onto it for my up pipe and stuff. But anyway, shit, I don't know where to start. Okay, so I'll start at the bottom. So basically factory sump with a oil drain weld on the top of it. Then it's a factory bottom end. It's done about 110,000 roughly. 110,000 Ks, 80,000 of those have been boosted, and it's still going strong. Yeah, I've got a double row timing chain because the single row with the tensioner fucked out pretty soon after boosting it. So that's one thing I definitely advise changing if you're going to boost one of these. And I also went the upgraded oil pump, I think, from Mace with the thinner cover. So long ago I barely remember, but yeah, so that's that bottom end, pistons, everything stock. Then the heads, they're the heads for the motor, but they've been fully worked, basically full ported, multi-angle valve job, right on valve stem seals, new valve guides, heavier valve springs, also with a damper in them so I can run higher RPM, safer, and that's about it. And then I run Mace high ratio 1.9:1 roller rockers with Crow Cams, hardened push rods to suit. I also run Crow Cams lifters, they're a hydraulic roller like stock. And yeah, on top of that, that is, believe it or not, the factory intake manifold, but cut it off about here, as you can hopefully see the welds, and then put this big plenum on it. Also move the throttle body over to this side to basically create a hot and cold side to a degree, like most straight sixes, etc. And the piping just works a lot better that way. So yeah, 3-inch bored out throttle body. Still running the IAC, still running the same TPS. 3-inch charge piping. Go Fast Bits Deceptor Pro blow off valve. I actually have that block now because I like the dose. So yeah, that goes down. That's like a bulkhead fitting through that what used to be the battery tray. So it's all shut off, as you can see. That goes through the cooler. So I guess we'll look through the cooler now. As you can see, this big mark down there, that is I think it's a 700 or 800 wide by 300 deep, 300 high by 100 mil deep. So it's a mammoth. It can support some serious power. And then it basically comes through this side. I'm kind of going in reverse. Obviously it goes that way into the motor. So out of that cooler it comes and then converts to 2.5 inch, then into this turbo. So this is a TO4E, which I've painted to make it look all good. It is by TOG Turbos, so it's a journal bearing turbo. This is just a cheapie that I've had for a good few years now. It sounds freaking awesome. 4-inch anti-surge intake. I'm sure a lot of you guys have heard it. It sounds freaking awesome. I will be upgrading to probably like a Mamba GDX 3582 ball bearing turbo when I do my new manifold eventually, but I'll probably do that once my Forest is on the road. Yeah, out of that 3-inch dump which goes down to the mid pipe. Yeah, external wastegate, 38mm tile copy wastegate. This is only a cheapo and it's been great. Dump straight out the screamer, as you probably will see or have already seen. Yeah, custom airbox obviously. I reckon that looks pretty cool. Coolant overflow, custom as well. Radiator, just a 3-core, 52mm thick or whatever. TIG welded alloy radiator from eBay. I think it's a GPI from memory. We've got the same one in Andrew Dado, and it's been great, so can't complain about the cheap eBay ones. And then the fans on that. This is probably one of the most important things of your setup, choosing the right thermo fans. So if you can fit the stock one, that's good because it's pretty decent. But obviously, you know, with this piping here for the exhaust manifolds, the crossover pipe, there's not much room. And yeah, so I've gone with these Durali 13-inch twin high output rad fans. I think each one of these puts out 2,000 cubic feet per minute. So when they're both on, they draw both a shitload of power and they flow a shitload of air. So I run them through, I don't use the factory fan trigger anymore. I run them through a Davies Craig digital fan controller. So each one staged, I think first turns on, then 10 seconds later the second one turns on. Set your temperature, turn on, and everything like that. So that's been working really well. I just had to upgrade the fuses because these fans draw a shitload of current and they were blowing the fuse when they first turn on. So yeah, that's that. Cooling. Also more cooling. I've got the oil cooler which is down here. So basically that comes off where the factory oil filter was. Down there. I've got this sandwich plate or adapter plate, basically running dash 10 up to the oil filter relocation, which you can see here. Out of that, through the cooler, and then through the cooler back into the motor. So, you know, I don't actually have an oil temperature gauge, but I'm sure that does its job. All silicon radiator hoses. I absolutely hate rubber. It is shit. Buy any car, first thing silicon radiator hoses, silicon vacuum hoses, because rubber just perishes and it's just shit. So yeah, MSD factory replacement coils. They seem to work pretty well. I run Top Gun 10mm spark plug wires. They've been working like a trooper. They've lasted me ages. But the main thing is to protect them from the heat. So I've got some fire sleeve there protecting it from the dump. I've also got, hopefully you can see, I run the factory metal insulation boots, and then I also run these socks over the top, just to protect all the cable that's near the headers, etc. from heat, because I've gone through a fair few cables in the development stages of this. When you kind of underestimate what heat a turbo kit puts in your engine bay, especially on a V motor coming out both sides. Yeah, so these coils I will be replacing with like LS2, LXX coils in the future, running a custom ignition module. So that will be pretty cool when I get around to it. Once again, probably when I've got the Fonz back on the road, so I can swap this. Yeah, catch can. I've done a whole in-depth video on the catch can setup for these, especially when you boost it. So be sure to check that out. But basically, yeah, custom can to fit in that area. All dash 10 breathers. One from each valve cover and one for the block. And they are currently venting to atmosphere because even though you put them through baffles and everything, you still get oil build-up in your intake when you recirculate it, and I just don't like it. So you have to deal with a bit of smell. We've got the reservoir for the master cylinder for the clutch. So that's custom, obviously. I've put a VS Series 2, Series 3 pedal box in this with the master cylinder suit, and then running my custom slave cylinder, adjustable fuel pressure regulator, my water methanol injection inlet port on the charge pipe here. Once again, I've done another whole video on that if you're interested. Factory, actually no, it's a VT master cylinder and the VS brake booster. At the back here you can see I've got this cool little billet vacuum distribution block. Hopefully you get the camera in there. So that's really good to basically distribute all your boost and vacuum sources all from the one place instead of teeing off all these stupid little things. Again, more silicon radiator hoses for the heater. I've actually relocated the heater tap to the back of the motor, get it away from down next to the header where it normally is. And then I guess while we're in this area, injectors. I run currently the Bosch 42 pound an hour, I think, Bosch green injectors. They seem to be doing alright with the power levels and the fuel. We're still running 98. So it'll be interesting when we get this thing on the dyno very soon and start shooting in the water meth injection. We might need to actually add some more injectors, or bigger injectors, but we've got the fuel pressure reg, so we can kind of turn the base pressure up and hopefully compensate. But really, when we're spraying the meth, we actually have to pull fuel out, so it might be alright. Alright, so under here you can also see I've made like a custom little air duct. So this basically ducts the air under the intercooler up into the radiator, which you can probably see better from under here. Nothing too crazy. I did actually have to cut that radiator support out, cut and shut it, and then fix that into it, but nothing too structural there. You also see my power steering cooler, which I also went through in another video. Oh, and my screamer pipe. One of the best sounding things in the world. Would you agree?
Oh yeah. I just want you to do mine.
Yeah. And actually another thing I'll touch on before I go on to the transmission and the drivetrain. I run a ground from the starter to the chassis, and then this is the main cable coming from the battery, which goes across to the positive terminal of the starter. So the starter always gets the main draw of the battery first. And yeah, you can never have enough grounds, especially big grounds. When I actually moved my battery to the tray, I had hot start issues. The car would basically not crank or act like the battery was flat, and it literally ended up being just running a ground from the starter motor to the chassis, and that fixed it. But anyway, moving on, this is as fresh as it gets. We're just finished putting this in. So this is my brand new G-Force T5 fully built gearbox, and also custom hydraulic clutch setup. So this box, I've done another video basically outlining everything in it. So that's that. Then that runs down through still the stock tail shaft. I don't know how long this is going to last. It's been fine for 4 or 5 years of boosting so far, but yeah, I dare say I will be replacing that in the not too distant future. Hopefully nothing catastrophic, but yeah, that comes down with nothing interesting there into the diff. So this is factory diff housing, factory axles, but I'm running a Harrop True Track mechanical LSD. Probably one of the best things I've done to this. Yeah, I've gone through a few factory diffs, both LSD and the single spinner which it came with. They didn't last very long with boost. So this Harrop True Track's been going strong for, geez, like 5 years now. It just, you wouldn't believe, for anyone who hasn't done it, it's so worthwhile. It makes such a difference. It just puts the power down so much better. In and out of corners a lot faster. power down a lot easier. It just feels, I don't know, smoother and more grippier. So yeah, that's that. So yeah, I'm hoping I got everything. Basically, when I'm with Ben the tuner, I'll do a video on the whole ECU side of things, how that's all done. So hopefully this helped a lot of you guys out there. Any questions, comment or PM, or go on the Facebook and message us. So yeah, tell us what you guys want to see. So I'm going to go to bed now because it's almost 1 o'clock in the morning. Oh man.
You're tired?
Yeah.
Rooted?